my queen, my queen. Oh, she, oh, she. Beautiful, wonderfully made. She's heaven's angel, so strong, even in struggle, yeah. When life comes like a storm from every angle, she rises above it all, the backbone of every home. Nothing compares to all she do. The true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah. Where would we be without you? You brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama. Yeah, and Jesus too. Oh, she's sophisticated, strong, simply amazing, humble, honest, and helpful, educated, ebony, eccentric, empowering. She's a queen, she's a queen. You better treat her like a queen. Oh, oh, Her strength is amazing. Life inside, 9 months she's carrying back to work, cause the family she's carrying. Society don't give her just due, but she prevails and stands tall. A champion, a true woman. But nothing compares to all she do. Yeah, the true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah, oh. Where would we be without you? Yeah, you brought us Martin, Malcolm, and Obama, and Jesus too. Oh, she is sophisticated, strong, yeah, simply amazing, humble, oh, honest, and helpful. Not only that you are educated, yes you are, eccentric, empowering. You're mine, she's a queen. You're mine, you're my. Treat her like a queen. No price could be put on how much she's worth. So valuable, she's the soul of the earth. Yeah. All a part of God's genius plan. Powerful as she can be, the man's H-E-L-P. Yeah, yes, sophisticated, strong, simply amazing. She is humble, honest, and helpful. What I like about her is she's educated. She's my ebony, empowering. Yeah, 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 yeah. She's my queen. Sophisticated, strong, simply amazing. She's amazing to me. Humble, honest. If you ever had one, she's educated. She's my queen. She builds me up. She keeps me going. Sophisticated, strong. She's my queen. Simply amazing. She's simply amazing. She is. Oh my. She's my queen. Educated, ebony. She's educated and she's empowering. She is my queen.
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Bishop R.C. Blakes. RC is an author, empowerment teacher, and the proud pastor of the New Home Ministries of New Orleans, Louisiana and Houston, Texas. His message circles the globe. His conversational and candid approach to challenging content makes him a relevant voice to all generations. Get ready for a life-changing transformational conversation.
Hello. This is RC Blakes, and what a joy it is for me to be with you again for another Let's Talk with RC Blakes. What a blessing it is. I want to deal with something today that I think is going to really help a lot of women, in particularly women. Men will get something out of this as well, but this is really to help women to understand something that women for generations have really been puzzled by, plagued by, and that is, why does a man just fall off of the scene out of the life of a great woman? What makes a man experience a great woman, in all kinds of ways, and see how good she is, how great she is for him, and then suddenly just disappear? I hear it all the time, and so many women are literally emotionally traumatized because women are trying to understand where is this coming from. And more women deal with this, more women struggle with this thought than admit it. Because in a lot of cases, when a woman has been ghosted, what makes a man ghost a great woman is our topic. When a woman has been ghosted, she feels embarrassed because of how much she's given. She feels embarrassed because she's probably made certain public declarations. Her family's probably having expectations. And so, the list goes on. I write briefly about this in my latest book, Me, My, Mine, Biblical Perspectives on Recognizing and Surviving Narcissistic Abuse. I write about ghosting, and here's what I wrote. Ghosting is when the narcissist suddenly disappears from the life of the person they are in a relationship with for no apparent reason. For example, the narcissist will pursue a person sexually for months. They will love bomb them. And finally, when they've accomplished their devilish agenda, they'll become hard to reach. In some cases, they will immediately drop off of the face of the earth. They won't return calls. They won't come around. Then at some random time, they will begin to reappear. But a lot of times they move on entirely. And not to say that everybody that would ghost you is a narcissist. I think that's some of what I'm trying to prove today in this discussion. I want to look at some other reasons that maybe you've not thought of, that may be at the heart of why you've been ghosted, or someone you know or someone you love has been ghosted. But if you have dealt with being ghosted, consider yourself to be in good company. Because if you look in Mark chapter 14, verses 49 and 50, it reads like this, and this is the Passion Translation. It says, "Day after day, I sat with you in the temple courts," Jesus is talking here, "teaching the people, yet you didn't arrest me then. But all of this fulfills the prophecies of the scriptures." Listen to what verse 50 says. "At that point, all of his disciples ran away and abandoned him." In other words, they ghosted him. Jesus was ghosted. He was ghosted by people he had spent intimate time with for 3 years. And he had given everything to him. When he seemed to be in a place where he was vulnerable and maybe in need of, or definitely in need of their support, they all left him, all but John, the disciple John. Now, when you think about, men, why do men ghost women, great women? Most of what causes a man to go ghost, so to speak, on a good woman has, listen to this very carefully, nothing to do with her. I know you take it, you take it personally, you've taken it personally, and you feel like it's a reflection on you. But the reality is, most of the reasons men ghost women, it has absolutely nothing to do with her. Even a narcissist, though you take that very personally, and it is very injurious, it really has nothing to do with you, and it has everything to do with the brokenness of that kind of man. A lot of it is, a lot of what I've discovered and what I'm coming to understand that plays into why men drop out of the lives of great women. Why do men leave women in a position where they feel ghosted, devalued? A lot of it is the man's ego. A lot of it is driven by the man's ego. And if a man is not enlightened, and if a man is not mature, if he's not conscious, if he's not a conscious masculine man, his ego has a way of playing tricks on his mind that usually navigates him out of the life or the lives of great women. Now, ghosting hurts for a few reasons, because I'm feeling you and I'm hearing you, I'm meeting you in the streets, I'm reading your emails, and you're talking about how this has devastated you, that someone would just squander your values, squander your resources, and just eliminate themselves from your life. And it's hurtful. And I'm not here saying to you, well, that doesn't hurt, stop saying it hurt, because it does hurt. I got to give it does hurt. I recognize and, I authenticate that pain that you feel. But there are a few reasons for it. There are a few reasons that ghosting hurts so much. Letter A, it leaves the individual wondering what's wrong with me. If I just dropped out of your life, for instance, okay, let's think about it like this. We have a connection and a relationship. You expect me to show up, Lisa and I to show up every Monday night, doing what we do. Me doing my part, her doing her part. What if you came around next Monday night and I wasn't here, and you've been an avid supporter of R.C. Blakes and Lisa Blakes? You've just been there. From day one, you've been there. And then the following Monday, not there. A year goes by, you've heard nothing from me. I haven't changed nights. I just dropped off of the face of the earth. Though you and I, most of you, have never physically met, there would be a subconscious part of you that would take that personally. And so when you think about a person that actually enters your life and just drops off of the face of the earth without, just not even an inkling of a warning, it leaves the individual wondering what's wrong with me. Letter B, it crushes the soul of the individual that has been ghosted because of dashed hopes. Any relationship that we think is going somewhere, it can be just a friendship. You know what I mean? If you think you have a great friend here and they just kind of drop off of the face of the earth, or you think you have a great boyfriend, girlfriend here, and you think you're doing everything right and everything's going well, and then they just drop off of the face of the earth. Well, your hopes are crushed. Letter C, why does it hurt so bad? You have to grieve. See, when a person plants him or herself into your life and then uproots themselves, pull themselves out of your life abruptly for no known reason, it's almost like having to grieve a death. You have to actually grieve what could have been, especially if this relationship was romantic and for no known reason this person is suddenly gone and you don't hear from them, you can't hear from them. You thought you all were building towards something. You don't realize it, but you have to actually grieve what you thought, the death of what you thought could have been. And then letter D, it leaves you suspicious of everyone else moving forward. So when a person ghosts you, if there's not some counsel and if there's not some perspective brought to the scene, it will leave you in a posture where you don't trust anybody else and you're suspicious of everybody following. Now, the reasons I'm going to give you today, I want you to understand this. None of the reasons I'm going to share with you make it right for a man to just disappear from your life. But most of what I'm going to share with you will help you to see that it was never your issue. It was always an issue with the brother that pulled out and left you, without an explanation. Now, just to be fair, let me say this. Now, if you know that and I have to say this, if you know that you've mistreated a man and you've done a man wrong, well, you don't need to run around and talking about you're ghosted. You were left. I'm talking to women who have done their part and you've been kind and you've been a friend and you've been a blessing. If you've been just hell on heels rather, you don't need to go around talking about he ghosted me. No, he's ignoring you. He has vacated the premises. So, that's just to be fair, because a lot of times, as women ain't necessarily doing their part. And sometimes brothers pull out because, well, let me leave that alone. But a lot of what seems like ghosting is really, when you think about men ghosting women, a lot of what seems like ghosting is really the man running from possible rejection a lot of times. And a lot of times it's our fear of honest communication. And then, of course, and I haven't gotten into my points yet, but I have to say this, the main reason men ghost is because they were running game from the beginning. That's understood. It was just game. And this is a lot of why, it was all about sex. And once, if sex is the purpose, if it's the game, sex is the purpose. Once the sex is attained, a man may very well disappear. This is why I try to say to women, you can't be out here just rolling up in the middle of the bed with every man that got your eyes rolling back in your head and you feel turned on by it. This is why a woman should never allow her emotional pace to outrun a man, because game is very emotional and convincing. So that I just need to say that because that's understood, right? So let's deal with some other issues. I think I have 7 for you tonight. Actually, I have 8 if I get to all 8 of them. But number 1, why do men ghost great women? Number 1, he's running from feelings. He's running from feelings. The last thing a man, especially a man with broken consciousness, wants to feel are feelings. He does not want to catch feelings for a woman. It's cool to have sex and to hang out and to be cool, but if he starts to feel like he's falling and he's not really been trained in the ways of classical manhood, he will run from those feelings. So a lot of times a man is running from you because he's feeling inwardly like he's falling, like, I'm falling in love, or, I'm letting my guard down. And when a man has been, especially when a man has been hurt in the past, sometimes he thinks he's ready for a relationship because he thinks all I'm going to do is just let it'll be social, it may be sexual, but I'm not going to ever invest my heart anymore into a relationship. And so because he's not healed, he's in this thing, and he thinks that he's ready for a relationship until he starts to feel certain things that bring him back to that place of vulnerability that maybe he felt in the past that another woman broke. And then sometimes, he thinks that he's emotionally prepared for a relationship. And he doesn't really realize that he's emotionally unavailable, because a person doesn't realize they are emotionally unavailable until it becomes emotionally risky. And when does it become emotionally risky? When I feel like I'm actually going to love this person. Wow. Most men, a lot of men, should I say, that not most, but a lot of men that appear to be ghosting you are really running from their own feelings. What was I doing, honestly, back in the day when I was trying to tell Lisa, hey, your boy good, go on and do your thing. I mean, what would my life actually look like, without Lisa right now? Maybe that was really a psychological maneuver on my part, because maybe I felt more vulnerable than I had ever felt before. You know what I mean? And so maybe I'm trying to tone this thing down because I don't want to get to a place where I can ever be. I don't even want to get close to the edge. That's the way men think. And so he feels himself getting close to the edge where he's about to fall. And so what he does is he vanishes because he doesn't know how to explain the emotions that he's feeling. I know. It's not right, but it is a reason. Listen to what Proverbs 25:28 says in the Amplified Version. Like a city that's broken down and without walls, leaving it unprotected, is a man who has no self-control over his spirit and sets himself up for trouble. One of the things that we as men pride ourselves on is being emotionally in control. And when a man begins to feel like he's loving a woman, it's not a comfortable feeling because he's losing that sense of emotional control. And he's like the text talks about here. He's feeling like a city that the walls are broken down, leaving him unprotected. And so he's emotionally vulnerable. And most of us as men do not tolerate vulnerability very well. This is why we struggle even in marriages to communicate effectively with our wives or to even understand our wives. It's because you have to run the risk of vulnerability to actually connect with a woman. And so a lot of times it had nothing to do with you. It was that homeboy was running from his feelings. And so we may have some women that can testify today. In a lot of cases, months later, years later, whatever, like I did, homeboy tries to come back. And maybe you're in a new situation and he's lost out. You know what I'm saying? Well, so it was with me. Lisa was in a new situation, but thank God that, God blessed me that she still loved me like that and came back. But a lot of times you feel, which I didn't ghost Lisa. I just said, well, I actually told her, I don't think I want to be married and I think you should probably move on. And she said, okay. And she left. I wasn't expecting that, Number two, why would a man ghost a great woman? Number two, he's gradually felt, as the relationship has developed, he's gradually felt incompetent to maintain the relationship. Because as the connection grew, his low self-esteem that he's never dealt with came to the surface. And a lot of times, we as men get intimidated by the idea of maintaining a woman, being responsible for a woman. Men think about stuff like, this lady is driving this, living in this, and wearing this, and maybe he is a guy that makes enough money to accommodate all of that, and maybe you are a woman that makes enough money to do all of those things. But you see, a man doesn't think in terms of your money. You got to understand that. Man is not counting your salary. A man is counting his own ends. And he's like, can I keep this up? And if he makes enough money, he has thoughts like, am I going to stay in good enough health to maintain? Am I going to be, especially if a man really has respect for a woman, am I mature enough to actually stay faithful? All of these kinds of things that gradually makes him feel incompetent to maintain a healthy relationship. And here's the big problem. Here's the big problem for us in relationships as men. We don't talk. Because if we talked about these things, our women would be able to give us clarity. We don't talk, and we have ridiculous imaginations. And so as a man, I can take a pebble and turn it into a mountain because of my imagination. And all of this stuff is going on in my head right there in the presence of my woman. And she doesn't realize that I'm sitting here and I'm feeling incompetent to actually maintain a relationship on this level, especially when a man is in a relationship with a woman that's on the next level. Maybe she's really, maybe she's a woman that's out of his comfort zone, and maybe he pursued the woman before he actually grew himself. But listen to what Luke chapter 14, verses 28 and 29 says. For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Lest haply, after he hath laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him. a man begins to think, now, can I finish this? Can I really be a good husband? Can I really be a provider? Can I really keep this woman happy? And if we just had the conversation, it would remedy a lot of those issues. But 99% of the time, we're not going to have the conversation. And so we're going to be led astray by our own imaginations. And we have all of these ideas about not being good enough. You'd be amazed. You would be amazed at how many men actually don't feel like they're good enough for the woman that they have, and so they sabotage it. If they don't sabotage it, they disappear. Number 3, why does a man ghost a great woman? He started with a false profile, and now he's embarrassed to come clean about who he really is. And when I say a false profile, I'm not I'm not talking about he has aliases, all that kind of thing. But I mean stuff like, he painted a picture that he makes more money than he makes, or he's more connected than he actually is. Because quite often good men fall into the trap of impressing a woman. And too often, to impress a woman is equivalent to a series of white lies that a man tells about himself to make a woman see him on another level. As he gets in deeper, he realizes he's painted a false image that he can't substantiate. And so I've painted all of these lies about, my family, owning this and having this kind of money and living here and living that because, maybe I didn't even anticipate it going this far. Maybe I ran upon a woman that is way outside of anything I ever imagined that I would ever attract. And so I just start saying things to impress her and discovered that she was actually interested in me, and really not so much in the things I said as much as she was interested in me. But you build up this false profile, and then as things begin to unpack, and now the date turns into a few weeks of dating and a month of dating and a few months of dating, and now she's at a point where she's ready to visit the house, the crib as you called it. And you said it's over here, and you live in this neighborhood, and maybe you do live in that vicinity, but you live in an apartment. You impressed her that you lived in, you had your own house over there. Maybe you have been driving around in a Benz, but she doesn't know that's really your brother's Benz, and you've just kind of built a false profile, and so now you realize that you've painted yourself into a corner that the only honorable way to come out of would be to just tell the truth. But to tell the truth means that you're going to probably lose the woman that you attracted through what you think has been these lies, and you'd rather just disappear than to suffer the brunt of rejection. Men don't take rejection very well. Doesn't make it right, but I'm helping you to understand why it happens. So rather than tell the truth and have her to put the ball in her court to reject you, you just kind of fall off the scene. And the Bible puts it this way in Proverbs 11:1 and 2, a false balance is abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. In other words, stop throwing out these false metrics. I got this much and I can do this much. It's a false balance. Stop lying. Just tell the truth. And if a woman can't accept you for who you are and what your real numbers are, she ain't the one for you. Personally, as a man, I would give a woman. I wouldn't even tell her the whole truth. I'd cut it in half and see how she. I wouldn't expose her to the whole truth, because if a woman can't accept me at 50% of what I'm really producing, why do I need her at 100? So if I fall off of the 100 and fall down to 50, she gonna leave me? Is that the basis of our connection? So I think it's counterproductive, really, when brothers build themselves up like this, and then the woman shows greater and greater interest, and then you get to a point where your lies prevent you from being able to go forward. But a lot of times, this is why brothers fell off. You've taken it personally when homie's just running from his own lies. Again, I tell you, this does not make this stuff right, but it helps. Hopefully, it helps you to understand why this is happening a lot of times, because the way the world is set up, you're left to believe that it's always about you, and it's not. Number 4, he overcommitted before he was actually sure. And so now he's in a situation where you're feeling like, it's one thing, and he's not really sure if it's that or not, and we've confused the situation because we got all of this sex in the middle of this here. And rather than, doing the proper exploration of each other's souls, we've been exploring one another's bodies. And so, what happens when a man has limitless access to a woman's body? He becomes accustomed to it. He becomes familiar with it. And so if he's not really in love with that woman, the sex gets old. And now the man gets to a point where he's like, I don't know if I really want to hang around for this, because sex ain't enough to bring a man to the altar. And so, he because of the sex, he probably said something like, yeah, you my wife. I want to marry you. Maybe in the moment he was serious about that. But now as things have unpacked and, things have died down a little bit, he's realizing that he's overcommitted. And so now he's torn. And one of the things that is a massive struggle for a man is to be brutally honest with a woman, at least in most cases. It's very challenging for a heterosexual man to say anything to a woman, even if it is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, if he feels like it's going to hurt her feelings. So because most men are not at a point where they're evolved enough to be able to say, I'm having second thoughts, brother just falls off. But listen to how the Bible puts it in Matthew 5:37 in the Passion Translation. It says, a simple yes or no will suffice. Anything beyond this springs from a deceiver. And though you may not have malicious intent, you are doing injury when you have these thoughts as a man, and you have a woman thinking that you all are an item and this is going somewhere, and now you're having these thoughts that you're not communicating, and you're constantly getting in the bed having sex with this woman. You may not have intended to be a deceiver, but you have ended up being a deceiver. Again, this is why I teach that the last thing you want as a woman is to run ahead of a man and get ahead of his pacing. If a man goes to 7, you stay back at 5, 5.5, 6 at the most. If he goes to 8, you move on up to 7. If he pushes the thing to 9, hang out at 7, 7.5. He goes to 10, move on up to 8. Don't ever be out ahead of a man and you're the one that's driving the relationship. No, 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 no. Because you don't want to be out there on 10 and find out that he's behind you backing up from 9 to 8 to 7 to 6. No, 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 no. You want to have him, you want to be behind the man so that if he starts having a change of heart, you are far enough behind him that you can see him backing up. And before he has an opportunity, come on now, before he has an opportunity to break your heart, you shut that down immediately. So you don't want to be out front, almost like you campaigning for him to commit and to be obligated. You want that man's commitment to you to be organic. You want an organic connection with this man that's driven by him choosing you. He pursues you, and then you approve of him. But you don't want to be one of these women that's out there just on 100 and you're just kind of dragging the man along. You got to give the man time to make certain that he's really committed. You see, you don't know that a man is really committed when all he's seen of you are your best days. He don't know what you look like when you've lost a job or when you're in depression. He's got to see all of that. You can't say a man is committed, because a lot of times brothers fall off the scene because they feel like they've overcommitted too soon, and now they don't know how to communicate that. Number 5, brothers quite often kind of fall off of the scene, number 5, when something heavy has occurred. You know, in other words, he's going through some kind of crisis. Maybe he's lost a job, and you know how much weight we as men put on our income. You know how much weight we put on our income. Or, maybe someone's died in the family, or maybe he's having some anxiety issues or whatever. But watch this. A lot of times brothers are going through stuff that's heavier than the weight of the relationship at that present time. And what do I mean by that? There are things that I can share with Lisa about certain emotions now that I would not have been comfortable sharing prior to us getting married, or even early on in our marriage. And so when you think about a relationship that's developing, weeks old or months old, and you've not had the time to have the history under, as the foundation of the relationship, and homeboy falls into something really, really, really heavy, he's not comfortable. He doesn't, okay, here it is. He doesn't trust you enough yet to be able to expose himself on that level. And so what happens a lot of times is homeboy will just fall, he'll fall off the scene. Because quite often men run when we are hurting. Men even hide from their spouses when we are depressed or when we're scared. My God. I'm still not comfortable. I'm comfortable as a man sharing with Lisa when I'm in one of those down moments. But as a man, I'm still not comfortable. I don't think I'll ever be comfortable clearly communicating when I'm scared. It's just not something we do too much as men. And so when you think about a newly developing relationship and a brother has one of these heavy, heavy, heavy seasons, he doesn't know, his energy is not the same. His emotions are not the same. And so, he really doesn't even have the emotional space to accommodate you, because he's not comfortable involving you in this. And so what happens is he falls off. Now, in your mind, you think it's all about you. And the reality is, when he comes to himself, he's talking about how he missed a great one because he didn't know how to share his heart. These things happen. It doesn't make it right, but it is a reason. Now, number 6, sometimes he gets the sense that here's a good one. Why do men ghost great women? Sometimes he's getting the sense that your circle doesn't receive him. Your people don't like him. And sometimes this is very, very true. It's actually a fact. Sometimes you have mama and your sisters and your girlfriends that's giving off some bad energy to you, man. Bad energy. Especially if you're a woman. I don't mean to just, put nothing on your mind, but if you're a woman that's a heavy earner, a lot of times the people in your inner circle, they don't want nobody else coming in because they need to have access to those resources. They don't want no man coming in feeling like a man's going to control this or that. And a lot of times brothers are backing up and falling off because they're getting so much resistance from your people. Your people are saying things and doing things and having private conversations behind your back. They feel like you don't know enough to choose for yourself. And at the same time, they ain't got no man, but they know what's right and what's wrong for you. When a man senses bad energy from your family or your close friends, he will often bow out before disrupting your circle, because a grown man is not going to be in a position where he's creating fires and arguments between you and your people. He's not going to be in a position where it's going to seem like he's gossiping on your mama, gossiping on your siblings, gossiping on your friends, going back telling you so forth and so on. And he's constantly getting this bad energy. Maybe he'll make a statement, I don't think your people care too much for me. And, from that point, he's expecting you to investigate that and handle that. But if it doesn't happen and he's feeling this constant tension, in a lot of cases, doesn't make it right, but it is so, a man will just bow out and he'll just disappear, because the last thing a man wants is drama. He may very well be very happy with you, but if, you're a package deal with all these people, and if these people are bringing drama, no man is signing up for that. 1 Corinthians 14:33 says, "For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints." God is not the author of confusion. The Bible also admonishes us to follow peace with all men. So sometimes as men, the way we handle, think about the code relative to manhood. If I as a man go into a situation where I'm outnumbered amongst a bunch of other men, I'm not going to confront. I'm just going to bow out. Come on now. I'm going to bow out. I'm going to keep my teeth, my life, and they're going to keep theirs. To whatever extent I might be able to do damage in a crowd of brothers, it probably won't last long, but we bows out. Well, the same thing applies in relationships. If I'm outnumbered, if it's me and you and your whole family against me, well, it ain't really a whole lot to talk about. I just need to get on out of this because this is a lot of drama. It ain't right, but it is a reason. Number 7, serious right here. He got offended and never really had the skills to communicate his anger without a whole lot of vulgarity, a whole lot of aggression. And so rather than be on record as blatantly disrespecting, he just moves on. But a lot of times we as men, we get offended. And see, when a man gets offended, he gets quiet. When a woman gets offended, she gets vocal. When a man gets offended, he gets quiet. When a woman gets offended, she gets vocal. If that offense is not addressed, she gets quiet. When a man gets offended, he gets quiet. If he remains in that vicinity and that offense is not addressed, he gets vocal. You see the difference? Woman gets offended, she gets vocal. I don't like this and I don't like. If it's not addressed, she gets quiet. Man gets offended, he gets quiet. And if he stays there and it's not addressed, he gets vocal. And the last thing a man wants is for that part to come out. So a lot of times a brother's just not mature enough. He's not emotionally evolved enough to be able to say simply this. This is something I've learned as a man. I don't like that. Please don't do that anymore. It saves so much time and so much trouble. You know, and then a lot of times she's like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah, babe, I don't like that. You know, and I'm sitting there and my crazy man brain is like, yeah, she, you know, these are the kinds of conversations going on in a man's mind. Yeah, she disrespecting you. She disrespecting you. See what she just did? And see, there was a time that I would hold on to that stuff, man. And, you know, quiet, and just mess the whole atmosphere of the house up. Now I've grown to understand something offends me, tell her, you know, and I don't need to get angry to tell her. Just say, hey, babe, you know, you said X, Y, Z, you did what, such and such and such. I don't like that. Don't do that no more. Okay, babe, I won't do that again. No wonder the Bible says in Proverbs 18:19, a brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and their contentions are like the bars of a castle. When a man is offended, it really ain't much you can do with him, no way. There's really not a lot you can do with a man that's not enlightened and he's angry and he's offended. Yeah, it ain't much you can do with him. So while you're taking him falling off the scene as, you know, meaning something's wrong with you, no, he probably has to grow up. And then number 8, God made him, you know, uncomfortable. That's why he left. God made him uncomfortable because God knew that you too weak. God knew that you was too weak to put him out. So God kicked him out. God kicked him out overnight. And he ghosted me. That brother didn't ghost you. God kicked him out. It wasn't rejection. It was protection. Why did he do it? God kicked him out of your life. That's right. And with that being said, I'm done. Let me pray for you. Father, I thank you for those that are dealing with some of these issues now. Maybe somebody they thought would have been a fixture in their lives has moved on and they don't understand why or what happened. God, give them peace. Let them find closure within their own hearts. And now, Father, I speak over their lives supernatural healing. In Jesus' name, amen. Listen, don't forget to go to my website, rcblakes.com. Sign up for the mailing list. Check out all of the online programs. Those of you that need counseling, look in the description. There you'll find the link for BetterHelp Counseling. If you use that link and you decide to use BetterHelp Counseling, it will afford you 10% off of the cost of their counseling, and they in turn, for my referring them to you, will make a deposit into RC Blake's Ministries. Don't forget to go by Amazon and pick up all of my books while you're there. And get ready for the official launch date of Me, My, Mine. It's going to be, you're going to have the physical version, you're going to have the audible version, and you're going to have the electronic version. So get ready to just blow it up on that particular day. What else am I trying to say? Hey, thank you, all of you that have sown into our lives. You know how Lisa and I love you and appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts. Now listen, if you're watching this on the Monday night before Valentine's Day, tomorrow night I'm going to be back at the same time. And we're going to deal with breaking soul ties, prayers that break soul ties. So many of you that are hung up on the Valentine season, and I don't have a Valentine, and my man is gone, and I'm by myself, and I don't know why I just can't forget about. Well, I want you to meet me tomorrow. Yes, 2 days in a row. We're going to be right here, and I'm going to share the Word of God with you tomorrow relative to prayers that break soul ties. So I'm excited, and I'm delighted. I love you. I thank God for you. Remember this, you're on top and you're going higher. God has more in store for you. So we will see you at the top. Make sure you like this before you click off now. God bless you. Until next time.
We here at RC Blakes Ministries want to thank you for spending this time with us today. RC and Lisa are always honored to have you with us. Don't forget to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.rcblakes.com. While you're there, you may join our mailing list and receive a free download of the Laws of Manifesting Your Vision by RC Blakes. Also look at all of the online programs by RC. You may find all books written by RC and Lisa. Once again, all of us here at RC Blakes Ministries want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we always say, see you at the top.